All right, everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. If you're still eating, eat away. But otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and get this party going. You know, everybody have a good lunch, huh? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you. So, welcome everybody. My name is Walt Marchbanks. I'm the Customer Programs and Services Manager with the Port of Portland here at PDX. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And we're coming to you live from the Port of Portland's headquarters building for this hybrid event. This event is a really great opportunity to celebrate and recognize some of the customer service successes that we've heard about over the course of the last quarter, and recognize those employees who made those events happen. So once a quarter, we get representatives and groups from all across the entire airport community. I hope you can see, if you're joining us from home, you can see how many folks there are in this room. It's really a great cross-representational sample of what you see in the airport. So we see airline partners, we've got folks from our ground transportation companies, we've got rental car folks here, we've got concessions folks here. It's really just a really great mix of folks. And for those of you who haven't attended this event before, it's really broken up into two parts. First, we're going to have a really great guest presentation that tie into our core values for PDX people. So Abby Carey, our Concessions Development Manager, is going to tie into being knowledgeable and share some exciting things that we can expect to see with our upcoming concessions program over the next several years. So we're super excited about that. Kathy Loader, DoveLewis Portland Area Canine Therapy Teams, or lovingly referred to as PACT, is going to share what their program does to help make the airport environment friendlier for both airport employees as well as the traveling public. And last but not least, Joyce Namanen, PDX Accessibility Committee member, former AARP Communications Manager, and AARP volunteer, is going to give us some great tools to help older adults feel more welcome and included in the airport. And following our great guest presentation, we're going to host the awards ceremony, which is the part that we're all super excited about. So if you're joining us from home, please be sure to drop a like or comment on the feed and help to make our folks who couldn't make it today feel welcome and included. So we're really here to celebrate the customer service superstars, so make sure to give everyone a nice round of applause after it's all said and done. So without any further ado, it's going to be my honor to bring up Abby Carey. Abby was born and raised in the Portland area, graduated from Portland State University, and lives in Portland's Kenton neighborhood, and has built a 17-year career with the Port of Portland. Abby, it's interesting, I'm going ad hoc here, but Abby actually used to be involved in our PDX People program years and years ago in the very beginning phases of her career. But as you can see, Portland is a common theme for her life, which positions her nicely for her role as PDX Concessions Development Manager, where she gets to help showcase the local culture that make her hometown so special. Abby spent some time working in the Port's Public Affairs team and again in the Customer Relations Department with PDX People previously, but she's worked in the concessions team or on the concessions team for the past 7 years, and she's very excited to share more about her work today. So come on up, Abby.
Thank you, Walt, and great to see you all. Thanks for coming to this great event. It's been a year since I saw this group last, and I think a lot of you were here, but probably we've got a lot of new faces too. But hard to believe, a year ago, I was standing up here trying to get interest in our concessions program to come and join the slate of new concessionaires for the Terminal Core project, and then here we are now, 12 months later. We're announcing our new slate that we've established over the last year. So just wanted to, I have only 10 minutes here. I could probably speak on this for 10 hours, but I'll try to go really quick through here, and then we'll have some time for questions also. But wanted to start off just by explaining some of our program goals for the concessions program at PDX. Most of you guys have probably noticed, you work here, you see the concessions every day. They're your lunch and shopping options. So you've probably noticed we're a little bit different than other airports around the country. We really focus on local brands here and showcasing what makes Portland so special. But, you know, we're changing. Our airport is growing. The Terminal Core project is going to really change the face of PDX. And we want our passengers to still be familiar with what they know and love about PDX when they come here. So one of our goals was really bringing some of what made our airport great previously with us into the new building. So we were careful in our new selection of concessionaires to keep some of our familiar faces here, some of the brands that people know and love and that are iconic to our area. So you'll see some of those included. But we also wanted to add new faces and bring in new opportunities for the rest of the community to come and join the airport family out here and bring their brand with them. And our strategy to achieve this was a mix of direct leases with local businesses. And also we did a competitive process that I'll talk about here in a moment. So we're focused on following emerging trends. We hear about new expectations that passengers have following the pandemic, new challenges to businesses in the environment today, and really just looking at following those emerging trends that we see in the business world. And then also just a really strong focus on quality employers and shared prosperity. So we asked folks that were interested in joining the terminal with a business how they treat their employees. We evaluated them on how they give back to the community. We actually had a pretty high percentage of their score, a combined 25% of the entire score, dedicated to those items. So we really do prioritize businesses that treat their employees like family and extend themselves to the community. So just one quick slide too on how our leasing decisions are made out here. We have a lot of interest in being part of the airport from the community and from our current concessionaires that would like to expand their businesses. So there's a lot of competition and really relatively few number of spaces. So we were very careful about setting aside some spaces that we directly negotiated with a specific existing tenant who was maybe losing their space due to construction impacts, or if they previously were in the pre-security Oregon market and we closed their only location. So, for example, like Columbia Sportswear or Pendleton, their only store was closed pre-security. They had their kiosks on Concourse C to kind of tide them over. And then we are allowing them new space in the new terminal to also kind of bring forward that iconic Portland experience with those big local brands. And then, though, we also wanted to reserve a number of spaces for brand new entrants and brand new faces to come out here and keep it fresh and keep growing our PDX family. So we did a competitive process for that, request for proposals, where we basically invited interested businesses to submit a proposal for what their location would look like, feel like, what their values are, and really for them to pitch their ideas to us. And we had a pretty rigorous process to evaluate those proposals and come up with a selection of brand new brands that are entering. So I've got a couple maps here to show you the results, and a lot of you may have seen this in the media. This was all announced in April, so it's still news, I think, but you may have already heard some of this. So this is for phase 1. So all of these, assuming that everything stays on schedule, all of these spaces will open next May. So you see a lot of locations here. I think it's a total of 12 opening next May. Walt was reminding me about we've lovingly dedicated the North Hall as Carb Corner because we've got pizza, donuts, and pasta all clustered in the North Hall. So there's your Carb Corner. And then we've also got, I'll show you in phase 2, there's a little healthy section on the south side too. So I'm not going to go through these locations one by one, but I can answer questions about them at the end of my presentation if anybody has any questions. But you can see the pre-security spaces here are shown in like the light tan. I'm not sure how familiar everyone in the room is with the layout of the terminal core building, but I know a lot of employees can't get to the post-security locations, so just wanted to point out there are still a good number of pre-security options too for employees that don't have badges. And then for phase 2, so this next phase, all these remaining locations open in right around the end of 2025. So it'll be about a year and a half after that first set. We'll add all of these new ones. I think there's another 8 or 9 here coming along for the second phase. So this is where we have our healthy corner now. Cure and Lola's are both healthy concepts. So we're balancing out Carb Corner over on the other side. And then you can see we also have, we should probably come up with a cute name for all the booze we have here too, because there's a number of distilleries in the mix here. Straightaway is a distillery, Freeland Spirits is a distillery, and then Pilot House Distilling is going to be a full service sit down restaurant, but also with a distilling background. That's what they do out of Astoria. So I think more of the new faces to PDX are incorporated here in this second phase, and we're really excited about some of these. So when all is said and done, this is the whole new slate for the terminal core. You'll notice that there are a few empty spaces that are not marked, that those are just spaces we're still working on. A couple of them are, or 4 of them I think, are newsstands. So we'll be getting 4 brand new newsstands. Some of them are pop-up retail that are going to be rotating on a shorter term. And a couple of them are going to be shelled for future development. So, yeah, but that is kind of the end of my update here. And I think I managed to reserve a couple minutes for questions in case anybody wants to know more. Nothing? Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Abby. I'm really excited about Carb Corner. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm personally very excited about that. All right. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Loader with DoveLewis Animal Hospital. So Kathy and I go way back. We've been friends for the last 5 or 6 years now, it seems. And Kathy's been the program director for, Kathy is the program director for, this is Limerick, by the way. Everybody met Limerick, hopefully.
Show and tell.
Yeah, it is show and tell. Yeah, show and tell today. So Kathy Loader is the program director for the Portland area canine therapy teams, which started in 2013. The assistant director is her dog, Marvin, who couldn't join us today, but is definitely wonderful. By the way, we do have, I know that Caitlin, my boss, has a collection of cards. I've got a collection of cards. There are cards everywhere. Everybody, all the airport community knows the dogs, right? Kathy joined DoveLewis staff in 2007. She started the therapy teams with DoveLewis in 2013. The program now has 88 teams currently serving our communities with over 9,600 volunteer hours in 2022, averaging between 250 and 300 visits a month. Teams visit PDX for travelers, TSA, airline, and airport staff. In addition to PDX, teams work with at-risk youth, crime victims, hospitals, read dog programs, crisis response, staff support, and courts in 4 counties with Port Police and the FBI. Teams bring joy and comfort to all they meet. Hopefully at some point you'll get a chance to visit my kids' school. Hopefully that's coming at some point. And when not working with the teams, Kathy likes to ride and show horses, hike, travel, and go wine tasting, and she has a passion for dogs and horses. So we're honored to have you. Thanks, yes, Kathy.
Thank you.
Come on up.
So let's see, we should move over to, oh, well, let's not go that way. Okay, so, I mean, this is this is definitely our mission, and it's just to bring these wonderful dogs to anybody who needs a smile or needs to be lifted. I can't wait to show you all the pictures from the airport. Okay, this is my assistant director. This is Marvin. And he is sorry to be here, but he didn't want to interrupt his nap. So I just want to talk a little bit about who our teams are and, where they come from. So our teams, oh, what happened? So our teams our dogs come from Guide Dogs for the Blind. They are career change or retired guide dogs. And, when they're born at their facility down in California, and then at about 2 months of age, they go to puppy raisers. Puppy raisers do all of the foundation training until they're between 13 to 15 months. Then they come back to Guide Dogs, to the trainers there, for their formal training. It's during this time that they determine whether the dog is going to make it as a guide or not. A guide dog needs to be nearly 100% really spot on to protect and be the eyes of a legally blind person. And some dogs choose not to go into that field. So my dog went all the way through. He went through, formal training, everything, and he was in his final test to become a guide dog. He was in downtown Portland. He saw some street performers and decided that, they were more exciting than focusing on the handler. So they kicked him out. They career changed him, and I was lucky enough to get him when he was 19 months old. He, my joke is that I had him for a month and a half, and that's all it took to undo all the training that they did. So that is not really true. He's really a wonderful dog. The thing that I like to see in our therapy dogs is engagement with people, and I want them to be goofy, and I want them to be a dog, but they need to focus. When they need to focus. So through all this training, because they've had thousands of hours of training, they do just that. When we get the dogs, it's because someone has adopted the dog and come into our program, and we interview them, and if they are accepted, we put them through training, which includes psychological first aid, a crisis response, court support training, victim support, self-care, and then location training. When they go to a location, sometimes they, if they go to read to the dogs, they just go to the library. But if they come to PDX, or they come to a hospital, or, the type of location that would require it, they do have to go through more training with that location. Like we just did recently with 4 teams with Walt, for additional teams out here at the airport. And our teams certainly are willing to do that. They really get involved in the locations that they go to. Vic here has been with our program since it began. We started in 2013 with 0 teams. Vic was the very first team that we tested and certified, and not with this dog, but with her other dog, Sherbert, who is semi-retired. If she gets off the couch and goes to the car, then she goes to a visit. But it's kind of up to her. Yeah, not often. But she has a second dog, and I've got 17 teams that are certified with 2 dogs. Some of the teams, not every location is what the dog enjoys, right? We've got, some dogs that love coming out to the airport. When Marvin and I walk over the bridge, from parking to the airport, he is bouncing. He is so excited to be here. And so, he gives it his all. So he only lasts about 45 minutes. But we've got some dogs that just, they could go on forever out here because they just love it. They love the interaction. One of the things I just wanted to mention is that we did receive the FBI Community Leadership Award this year because of our service with not just the FBI local office here in Portland, but also with courtrooms and the DA's office, Portland Police, and this, these are the many locations that we do that type of work in. I think one of the things that is just so valuable and so touching for me is that, why is this moving? It keeps moving. Which is fine. It can roll into the pictures. So these teams, whether they're at the airport or whether they're in a courtroom, they can change a moment. An example that I'd like to give is one of a little girl who was about 6 years old. She just turned 6, and she had to go to court to testify against a family member. So this is really a very tough situation. It would be for an adult to have to go into court and testify. But here's this little girl, doesn't want to do it. And they asked her, they said, well, do you want to meet Liberty? Do you want to meet a dog, that could go with you? And so she met Liberty, and we had Liberty go into the courtroom pre-trial so that the little girl could sit on the stand and they could talk to her and, kind of enact what may happen. And the next day when she went into court, she had Liberty by her side. And I might point out, too, that she also wore a Wonder Woman costume. It was around Halloween time, and every day that she had to come to court, and when she was with Liberty, she had this costume on. But she went up on the stand, told her story, and, had the confidence and the courage to do so. And her mother was just like so happy that this child was able to make it through, that she wanted us to tell this story. And, it is, we can't change what happened to this little girl, but, excuse me, we can change what her memory is of that day. We gave her a little stuffed animal that we give to court victims that has a scarf on it that says DoveLewis therapy dog on it. So every time she looks at that, she can have that, that positive memory of probably one of the worst days of her life. But that's what we do. I mean, we change a moment. We're not going to change the fact that this poor person, we had one woman who was trembling, at the airport because she was afraid to get on the plane, but she had to get on the plane. And our team sat with her until she had to get on the plane. Well, we didn't change how she felt about flying, but we helped her in that moment. And that's kind of what these teams do. They're just, the honor flights, whatever they do, they are going to bring a smile to somebody's face. And, whether anybody pets them or not, has the time to stop, they smile when they walk by our teams. Vic, do you want to talk just briefly about why you like coming to the airport?
Oh, gosh. Well, from the moment we became part of pet therapy, I wanted to come to the airport because I'd heard of an airport that did it, and I can't even remember which one, and I thought we should do that. And it took a while. Took a while to get here, but once we were here, I was coming. And I think the day she sent an email saying we can go back after COVID, I think I said I'll go tomorrow because I was ready to come back to the airport. But we love all the interaction from the TSA to the shop owners to just, we get swarmed, there's no lack of interaction. And mostly we hear people that are, either anxious to fly and they just want to hug a dog for a little bit, or they're missing their dog and they want to come up and hug the dog, but also show pictures of their dog. And
they don't show pictures of their family.
No, we never see the family picture. It's always the dog. But each day Limerick and I come every Monday, and every Monday's different of, what there is to bring. And, recently we had a gentleman that came running up to us and said, my son is autistic, and he's just struggling to get on the plane and afraid to fly. So we just went down and sat with him for 15 minutes until he, you could just see the anxiety draining as he pet the dog. So it's special. We love coming.
Yeah, and I think one of the very big reasons that Abby touched on is community. I mean, this place is, it was extremely welcoming when we came in the first place, but it is one big family. And like in so many of our other locations, we feel like we're part of a team. So, I mean, I saw, oh, you saw that picture? When you walked in, I said, oh my God, she's up there. And she was with Marvin, oh, by the way. But yeah, I mean, that's the other reason we love coming out to the airport. And, we feel like we can offer something, that we can contribute something, and that means a lot.
Well, I love the Walt events. Those are going to take us on a life of their own. And it's fun to come and have a group of dogs. You love coming, and we come with another dog on Mondays, which is big fun. But when you can get 6 or 7 or 8 dogs together, it's fun. It's amazing. The people just love it.
Oh, they do. I mean, I think you've seen up there the pictures, Walt with, St. Patrick's Day, Walt in the Santa suit. I don't know where you are for Valentine's Day here, but you're there somewhere. But I mean, he's like the Pied Piper. But those events are another thing that just bring, TSA, just bring such community to it, because there's so many different departments that are with Walt that day. So I just want to thank you, and we love PDX.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. That was great. I mean, we all love the dogs, and the dogs are, just part of the fabric of PDX now, right? They're part of the community, and they really do enhance and build on the guest experience and the employee experience that we have here as well. So next, it's my pleasure to introduce Joyce DeMonin, who you may remember, if any of you have seen this event. She came last year, I think, in around the same time, sometime around there, yeah. Joyce DeMonin recently retired from AARP, where she worked 16 wonderful years leading the state's effort on financial security, including campaigns around the value of workers 50 and older, retirement security, understanding Social Security and Medicare, as well as leading AARP Oregon's efforts to pass legislation to create Oregon Saves. Joyce has a master's in public health and business administration and has worked as an elder advocate, reporter, and director of communications for various organizations. She lives in Portland with her husband, a retired art professor from Lewis and Clark College. And I will say that our work around making PDX accessible has really been focused for around the last 6 or 7 years, but our work more broadly around making PDX age-friendly has been going on for well over a decade. And I've known Joyce for a very, very long time, and she and her colleagues within AARP and within the broader community groups that she also supports and chairs is really, really commendable. So without any further ado, come on up, Joyce.
Yes.
Okay.
You can hit enter, or I can just click.
Okay. Well, I totally hate going after DoveLewis. That is really rude. That was a great presentation. Really appreciate it. And in a former life, I started the first victim advocate program in Washington County for older adults. And wish we had the dogs back then, because it's often family and friends who abuse older people, unfortunately. And it's so sad. And then having a friend, I think, is a big, important thing to have. But anyway, I'm really glad to be here, and thank you, Walt, for the invitation. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, that we have a committee called, it's kind of a long, funky title, the Economic and Employment Older Adult Committee for Portland and Multnomah County. And then we work with some other organizations, what we call the Aging Network, and have awards for age-friendly businesses. And Portland Airport won last year as being an age-friendly airport. And it was really exciting to, have Walt's commitment to work on this, because I think a lot of times older adults feel neglected, like nobody wants to hear about them or care about them. And, so it's really great that the airport has stepped up to this commitment for a number of years now. So the point of the talk today is just some tips and reminders that some of your best customers, your volunteers, your employees are older, and just making sure that they don't feel marginalized. As a society, I'm going to put my purse down. I'm used to walking around with it all the time. That's silly. As a society that values justice, we should strive to ensure that everyone has access to the services they need and not feel diminished if they need extra help. And older people are very, what we call heterogeneous. Let's see if I can pronounce it. I haven't been working for a while, but they have a lot of differences. So if you look at 6-year-olds, you can say, this is kind of what a 6-year-old is like, or this is what a preschooler is like. But when you look at older adults, it's at age range from, let's say, 60 to 100. They're very, very different. And it could be somebody who's 90 years old and is scooting down the, concourse and doing fine. And it could be somebody who's 60 who really needs some patience. And so I'm going to start just with the workforce thing. It's something I worked on a long time with the AARP. And, now that I don't work there anymore, I'll tell you a story. We had a 50-plus worker initiative that began maybe, I don't know, in the late 90s or early turn of the century. And during the recession, they decided they had to take off some of their portfolio. So they axed the older worker initiative. And at that time, one of our, executive vice presidents, kind of the inner circle, was visiting Oregon. And I'm like, how could you do this? Older people are really having a hard time finding a job. And she goes, well, according to our research, only 10 or 15% of people are using, employment services for AARP. And I said, yeah, but for those people, it's the most important thing. If you can't find a job, you don't have health care. That's it. That's the most important thing. So fast forward 5 more years. Oh, we do want to do work on older workers, because if you don't have a job and you need a job, it is the most important thing that you can do. And AARP, all of the services they offer are free. So it was a really important initiative, and I was glad to see it come back. And one of the things they do is they do a lot of research on older workers, because they want to encourage employers to hire people of all ages without discrimination. And there is an federal older worker age discrimination, but the law is really weak. It doesn't work very well. Very few people ever get a settlement. It's been very frustrating. So what we've been trying to do, work on policy, but also work on educating employers. And we find that employers are beginning to turn around, because right now we have a worker shortage, and older workers have this, old-fashioned commitment to their employer. It's like, yeah, I'll show up on work on time. Yeah, I'll give it 100%. Yeah, I'm going to have a good attitude. Yeah, I'm going to be grateful that I have a job. Not that the other people don't feel that way, but older workers do have this great work ethic. And so we're finding now that that employers, as a rule, are not including diversity. I think I have a new slide here. They're not really including aging as a diversity component in their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, but they're changing up how they look at it. For example, more employers, 70% of employers are using age-neutral recruiting terms, which an example would be, I need a digital native. Well, that means that anybody born before let's say 95, is excluded, right? About 3/4 of employers now offer training for people of all ages, where in the past we saw employers, when somebody reached 45 or 50, that they stopped giving them those promotional and training opportunities. And then more employers, about 2/3, are seeing the value of intergenerational teams, because each kind of generation brings something different to the mix. I have to have notes because I haven't worked in 2 years. So let's see here. So like the individuals in this photo, most older adults don't have disabilities, and they're active and they want to enjoy life. If you've worked for 40 or 50 years, whatever it is, hopefully you have some retirement money and you can have fun, and you can still enjoy life. Of course, some older people do have limitations. So there's that whole mix again. But in this group, we know that older people love to travel. And according to a different AARP survey, the majority of adults 50 and older will take at least one trip this year, and they will spend about an average of $7,000 on travel this year. And the majority of older adults will take, actually a little over 50% will be taking 3 to 4 trips this year. So they're a good market for PDX, and it is a very popular way for older adults to spend any discretionary income that they have. And I was meeting I can't remember Donna's last name, Prigmore. She and I ended up having dinner party together. And she said, hey, do you want to volunteer? And I live 30 minutes away from here. I'm like, no, I don't want to. But I was thinking, man, PDX is such a great place for volunteers too. And so they're a valuable group for you guys to be thinking about. So we have a few tips about, hot spots for older people. One of the big ones is sometimes we're interested in being a caring person. And so we might say, "Are you okay, honey? Do you need help?" And you end up in this, maybe women do this more than men. I don't know. Maybe that was sexist. I'm sorry. But you might say that thinking you're being a caring person. And that's a turnoff right there. So be careful about your speech, trying to be too conciliatory. And I'm just that was the big thing, is to not do elder speak. And then I just have a couple of thoughts to end this with. How do we make our multi-generational world enjoyable for everybody? And it's nice to look around the room today and see people of all ages sitting at the table together. And I really appreciate the eye contact you all are making with me today. It's really great. So we can enjoy being in a multi-generational world. And I would just say, nobody wants to be labeled, so don't label older people. And then it's important when you're working with people my age and older and younger, maybe look me in the eye when you're talking to me so I can see your mouth and I can see your eyes. Some of us have hearing loss, or some of us have vision loss. A lot of people are walking okay, but maybe they have an ache and pain. So maybe listen a little more attentively. Maybe it'll take them a few more minutes to get all their thoughts out. So be patient. And remember that older adults want to stay connected and valued by others just like you. And because of all of you, Portland is an age-friendly airport. And this is just a reminder so you can be best in class. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Well, we have officially reached the awards part of today's event. Before we get started, I'd really like to just give a final round of applause to Joyce, Kathy, and we got Abby right in front of me. Okay, gotcha. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. So this week, we'll be giving out certificates for all of our nominees. So for those of you who own businesses, hang out for a few minutes if you can afterwards, because we did have quite a few nominees this quarter as well. For our winners in the room, we've got blue goodie swag bag. So if I didn't catch you beforehand, be sure to catch me afterwards, and we'll make sure that we connect you with that. We're also going to be sharing stories of the winners, including photos, on our digital monitors throughout the terminal, so you can look ahead to that. And lastly, for those who couldn't join us either in person or virtually, this event is also being recorded, and it'll be uploaded on our employee website, part of the broader context later. So before we get started, I just wanted to share a few words on PDX People to kind of reiterate what Kathy was saying around community. Our program, PDX People, what started as a customer service program, is really all about employee culture now. And it's really all about the community. So according to Merriam-Webster, culture is a set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterize an institution or organization. And I try to think about the airport in kind of the broadest context there. And if an organization had a personality, that's what it would be, right? Culture affects how people feel, how they treat one another, and how they view where the organization, or in this case, the airport community, is headed. And they can actually offer up some great suggestions on how to get there, right? And I feel like we get a lot of that feedback from the airport employee community. When people feel good about an organization or a community and its purpose, they tend to give more of themselves and treat guests and fellow employees better. And that really, to me, describes one of the greatest strengths that we have as an airport. It's really our people. So I'd like us all to give us all a round of applause here. Let's do that. Why not? Yeah. Now, the PDX People program is celebrating its 13th year this year, which is super exciting. And the program, while I'm involved, it's not really about me. It's about the people who volunteer their time. It's about our working committee members. this grassroots effort that we have has representatives from all different 8 industries that we have at PDX. So it's my honor at this point to invite our working committee members to the front. In this case, the front is over here, right? It feels a little misleading. It's over here. That way our winners don't have to be blocked by the shade here. So at minimum, right, I need Augie, Therese, and Miranda, wherever you're at. But if any of our other working committee members would like to join us, and if you don't want to join us up front, that's fine. Maybe at least you could stand up so everybody can see who you are. So Kenny, Jill, Lindsay, and Carol. Let's give them a round of applause here. And David, yeah. Honorary mention to David. Yeah, perfect. All right, so our working committee members here are actually going to read the majority of the awards today. I'm just going to kind of tab through off to the side. But once you hear your name, come on up. We'll give you your award, and then they'll read the story. We'll give you a round of applause, and then we'll just proceed from there. Sound good? All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to bring up Augie. Come on up, Augie. Oh, excuse me.
Hi, everybody. I am Augie Ribello. I am the General Manager at Tender Loving Empire here at PDX. I use he, him pronouns. First award we're going to give out today goes out to Sherry Andrade from United Airlines. Sherry received the following compliment from a fellow employee. Sherry just finished working her flight on Concourse E when she was approached by an elderly couple that were lost. They were trying to get to their red-eye flight that left out of Concourse D. The wife was using a walker, and they were very concerned they were going to miss their flight. Sherry immediately offered to take the wife in a wheelchair and make sure that they made their flight. She took charge so quickly they even had time to stop at the pet relief area, so their pup was taken care of too. Because of Sherry, they made their flight with time to spare. For Sherry, it doesn't matter what airline you're traveling on. If you are at PDX and you need assistance, she is there to help. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Rachel Melrose from Elephant's Delicatessen.
Rachel couldn't make it, but let's give her a round.
Rachel received the following compliment from a thankful customer. I was having a very hard traveling experience and needed to find somewhere to eat and collect my thoughts. That's when I stumbled upon Elephant's Delicatessen, and wow, I was so happy I did. Rachel was incredibly nice and so welcoming. She hooked me up with the most comforting tea and breakfast burrito. She went above and beyond to make my morning, and she even gave me a complimentary cookie. This is what Portland is about, just great local businesses and great people. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to visit again. Next up, we have David Aldrich from Currency Exchange International. David received the following compliment from a fellow employee. I just wanted to nominate David with Currency Exchange International for a recognition. He observed a woman falling on the escalator by the Currency Exchange kiosk and very quickly shut down the escalator. Had he not been so observant and fast-acting, the situation could have been much worse. He truly came to the rescue and even stayed with the woman afterwards while she waited for medical response. Thank you, David.
Hello, I am Therese Chapdelaine with Dollar Car Rental. First up is Max Unger with Dollar Car Rental. Max received the following compliment from a thankful customer. Max went above and beyond for my rental when I showed up prior to the rental counter opening. He greeted us with a smile and made us feel like it was completely okay to show up early. Max found us a great car and treated us like he enjoyed getting to know us. He's very knowledgeable about the area. It was a great experience, and just want to say thank you for the friendly and professional start to our trip. Thank you. And next we have Lazaro Ochoa from SP Plus Corporation. Lazaro received the following compliment from a thankful passenger. I parked in the red economy lot, and when I was returning from my trip, the shuttle driver, Lazaro, went out of his way to help everyone to load and unload their luggage. What a pleasant person. On a separate note, when I got to my car, there was plastic taped to my rear side window. Apparently, I did not roll up the window, and someone from SP Plus covered it for me. I am so grateful. We have Jason Wolf, Transportation Security Administration, TSA. Okay. Jason received the following compliment from a thankful member of the PDX Canine Therapy Program. TSA Officer Jason Wolf was absolutely incredible today. I had a student traveling with a paper ID, and then his bag did not pass inspection. Officer Wolf was incredibly kind and helpful even after having to call the Port of Portland Police to inspect the bag. Then he continued to impress when a distraught passenger approached him, upset and concerned because her flight was delayed and she would likely miss her connecting flight. She explained she was traveling for a family member's memorial service. Jason went above and beyond and got her airline's number and offered comfort. He is a valuable employee and deserving of recognition.
Hi, everyone. Oh, it makes me so happy to see this room so full. It's my pleasure to talk about Jeremiah. He actually got 2 amazing compliments, one from a passenger and from another airport employee. Due to a delay, I missed my flight to home and I didn't know what to do. My phone wasn't working. I wasn't able to get in touch with my family. I was tired and felt totally helpless. Thankfully, Airport Operations Specialist Jeremiah approached me and saved the day. He helped me contact my family, get in touch with my airline to rebook for the next day. I needed accommodation for that night, so he helped me arrange for a stay at a hotel nearby and a taxi to go there. He even brought me water and some snacks. Jeremiah is unbelievably great person, kind and understanding, and very respectful towards me. Thank you. I wasn't done talking about Jeremiah. There's more to his story. This is amazing. Jeremiah was involved in a medical incident in the ticket lobby yesterday in the late afternoon when a person in the airport collapsed. A nurse was already performing CPR when Jeremiah passed by, and he jumped into the chest compressions. They continued CPR and used the AED until the medical response team arrived. Thanks for stepping up to help an emergency, staying calm, and doing what it takes to ensure everyone's safety. That's amazing. Next is Gail. Gail received the following compliment from an airport volunteer. Gail, a wheelchair pusher from Bags Incorporated, approached me at the information booth. Her passenger had just arrived from Frankfurt and was catching a connecting flight. However, somewhere along the line, she had lost her cane and was very concerned about her missing her mobility device. Gail wanted to inquire as to how she might be able to help the passenger locate her cane. While she attempted to track down her cane, Gail kindly and attentively worked with the passenger. She got her contact information in case her cane was found. Gail also explained the situation to the passenger's daughter over the phone and assured her that her mom was in good hands and was getting transferred to her connecting flight. Ultimately, we were unable to find her cane in the short time frame, but we gave her a cane from our emergency supply room so she would have a mobility device for the remainder of her trip. Gail went above and beyond to assist this passenger and treat her with respect and compassion. As we watched the interaction, we couldn't help but feel that Gail was treating the passenger as though she were a member of her own family. Gail was an excellent example of the PDX People community who helped smooth out travel difficulties with friendly, respectful, and knowledgeable assistance. Great work. And I'm sorry on these last name, guys. It's first names only around here. But this one is a group award for Brian, Jeff, Nathan, and TJ. Brian received the team received the following compliment from a thankful airport employee. In May, the family of Officer Donald Sohoda, a former Port of Police officer, flew out of PX to Washington, D.C. to attend the annual National Peace Officers Memorial Service. Officer Sohoda was being honored at the service after being tragically killed in the line of duty last year while with the Vancouver Police Department. Brian with the Port of Portland, TJ, and Jeff, Nathan, the whole team with Alaska Airlines provided amazing support for this family as they traveled through PDX. Captain Erickson led the coordinated efforts between the Port of Portland, the police, and the partners at PDX to ensure that the family had a smooth journey to their gate. Nathan helped arrange the opening arranged opening a dedicated counter for the Vancouver police officers who were traveling with the family and who needed to check their firearms. Jeff coordinated opening a special TSA lane to screen Officer Sahota's family. And while the full PDX operation team provided lots of support behind the scenes, Brian gets a special shout out for updating the digital signage along the airport way to read PDX honors Officer Donald Sahota, which meant so much for the family to see as they were arriving for their flight. This teamwork behind the scenes that day is the embodiment of being respectful and demonstrates tremendous support for the Sahota family, for Officer Sahota, and for the Porta Police. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, wonderful. So it is my esteemed privilege. By the way, you want to get a new headshot, Jeff, because it's a little dark. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Perfect. So it's my honor to introduce the Lifesaver Award. So the Lifesaver Award is an award that we don't give out every quarter. It's really done on a case-by-case basis. When we receive a story or stories that are sort of involved in behaviors and actions that ultimately save someone's life. It could be an employee, it could be a traveler. In this case, it's my honor to bring up Elizabeth Williams, Lorinda Cox, and Hannah Winnett with Alaska Airlines, and Terry Marshall with the TSA. So if you can join us up here, please. And I'll wait until y'all get up here, and then I have a really touching story to share. But I will say that these are the stories that we know about, right? There are stories that happen all the time, but life-saving stories don't happen all the time, right? They are unique. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for everybody to get set up, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So this actually was observed by an airport employee that saw what was going on here. So when a passenger experienced a medical emergency and collapsed, 3 Alaska Airlines crew members, Lorinda Cox, Elizabeth Williams, and Hannah Winnett, noticed the man and stopped to help. They quickly realized that the situation was urgent and jumped into action. One began compressions while others called 911. TSA was notified, and Officer Terry Marshall was able to obtain a defibrillator to assist the man's care. Terry, Lorinda, Elizabeth, and Hannah took turns with compressions until the paramedics arrived. After the paramedics took over, they assisted with the man's wife and the Port of Portland Police to make sure everyone was able to provide necessary assistance. This is an amazing team effort and deserves the highest recognition for the steps they took to save the man's life. When the ambulance arrived and they were transporting the man, he was breathing, awake, and responsive. So on behalf of all of us, on behalf of the entire airport community, thank you so much for all that you did and for all that you continue to do. It really is an honor. So thank you so much. Let's give them a big final round of applause. Congratulations. All right. And with that is the end, right? We've reached the end. So thank you all so much. Yeah, that's a way to, that's like the grand finale of the fireworks show. So we're done. Thank you all. For those of you that are still in the room, there are to-go boxes for Cafe Yum. So take a Yum bowl with you on your way out of here. And for our winners, if you'd like to hang back and chill out, mingle amongst yourselves, have a second lunch, whatever you got to do. Nobody's getting kicked out. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. But thank you all so much. Congratulations.